What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Throttle Drive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. So I thought we would make a fun video today with the Audi R8, and I want to answer a question that someone actually asked me a while back. It's kind of what made me think of making this video, but how fast is the Audi R8, and really how fast does it feel? Because a lot of people get wrapped up in numbers, and people that haven't ridden in anything that's pretty quick, they don't understand what the numbers actually feel like. And I did a video that was pretty popular over my C6's 400 horsepower over 400 pound-feet of torque, how fast does it feel video, and it's picked up some traction. So I thought this would be a good time to make a video over my Audi R8's acceleration, because guys, you got to remember that there's a lot of things that go into how the car makes you feel. It's not just the number, the figures, and even though I've driven a lot of cars quicker than the Audi R8, it's no slouch, and it actually makes you feel really good when you're accelerating. It just has a great feel to the car, and honestly, I don't regret at all buying this car. It's nowhere near performance terms of like a C7 Z06. That car is incredibly quick, but this car, again, it's no slouch, and it can get up and go. So I thought I'd make a video today talking about that and going over some of the aspects that make sense when actually looking at acceleration figures, and again, just how the car overall feels when driving it. So the first thing we should talk about is actual figures. Now, this car has 420 horsepower over 320 pound-feet of torque, and it weighs about 3,500 pounds, and that makes for what they say in the figures about a 4.2 second 0 to 60, and that's because of the all-wheel drive system that Audi has put in through their Quattro system, and it gets a lot of grip. It's absolutely incredible, the launching of this car. Now, one thing I will say is one of the biggest factors of what feels like acceleration is torque, and my Corvette had a lot of it. It had 400 horsepower, less than this, but it had 400 pound-feet of torque, and it absolutely pulled at pretty much any RPM. This is different. With Redline being over 8,000 RPM, we actually see that I want to be higher in the band because of the 320 pound-feet of torque. If I'm sitting down at, say, 3,000 RPM like I am right now, and I just kind of go, it takes a little bit of buildup, and then you start to feel it. You really can get into it, but you need to be really over 4,000 RPM, and that's when the car really comes alive, but it's designed to be that way. That's how the 4.2 liter V8 that's behind me really is designed for. Now, in terms of actually how the acceleration feels, as I said, it really comes to where the banding is, where your RPM band is sitting. If I'm sitting at the lower RPM, that struggle just doesn't feel like much acceleration, but if I'm sitting anywhere over 4, preferably 5,000 RPM, this car will absolutely pull. And again, because of the car, the way it's refined, the way it's built, it doesn't feel as raw like, say, my Corvette C6 was. It's much softer. It still feels like a pull, but it feels like a pull that is refined, and it's not jerky, it's not harsh. It just is incredible, the amount of speed that builds. You actually don't realize how fast you're going a lot of times until you look down at your speedometer. I've noticed that several times. With the Corvette, I would actually feel like sometimes I was moving at a faster pace than I was because the car just felt like it was pulling at such a aggressive rate, whereas this car, it pulls and you feel it, but because of that softer feeling, because of the more refinement of the car, it doesn't feel like I'm going as fast until I look down and I'm doing way quicker than I was expecting. The car just really floats along, and that's really what it's designed to do, and that's honestly a positive in a lot of situations. Now, if I'm really pulling hard off the line, sometimes that's not as fun, but at certain times, especially highway speed, when I want to do a pull, it doesn't feel like anything's going to get away from me, and that all-wheel drive system helps with that. I never have a problem getting grip. I can feel a little bit of tire slippage, but the car immediately picks it up in a different wheel. So really, even a hard launch has all the traction I could ever need. So with that acceleration that I can kind of feel out of the car, there's another aspect to that, and really that comes down to the handling. How does the car feel? this is head and shoulders in handling over from my Corvette. The Corvette obviously had a huge heavy V8 out front, and it didn't have as much weight in the back, and I could really get tail happy with the car. But honestly, this completely different. Being a mid-engine, it's very well balanced, and it absolutely feels like I can take any corner about any speed. I've taken some corners at some incredible speeds, and the all-wheel drive balance feel of this car just takes it in stride. This car, that's why I think it did so well on the tracks. It's based off of their race car. The R8 was a R8 race car before they actually built this for street production. And honestly, you can feel that. You can see in the way that the Germans designed this car, they did a phenomenal job, and it's incredible at the turns I can take. Being the all-wheel drive, again, the grip is just there. My Corvette was totally different. If I took a turn too hard, even though it only had 400 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, it just would get away from me. It was hard to take a turn. Now, it was a lot of fun, but if I was really doing it and trying to get a great time, it would slide on me a little bit. This car grips and goes, and I just have to keep it, though, in that high RPM range. Now, the final thing that I want to actually talk about is how the car really makes you feel when you're driving it. And there's just something special about this car. It just brings a lot of things together, and it's hard to actually articulate on a video. It's hard to show you guys acceleration. You know, if I do like a pull right now, and we go, you know, from 30 to a lot faster, then you guys can't really see that. You see my reaction to it. You see us kind of punch back, but you guys don't get the feeling. So it's the same thing with really how this car makes you feel. I don't have to go over the aspects of the design of the car. It's absolutely beautiful. I always get comments, and it's really what kind of strikes my heart. That's a big reason why I bought this car. It's absolutely beautiful, and everybody's got their opinions. There's some people that think the car is a little bit dull, especially compared to maybe a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, but in its own right, this car gets a lot of attention, especially now that I have it wrapped in my crazy satin flip psychedelic. But nonetheless, this car, it just brings together so many emotions, and when I drive it, it never fails to bring a huge smile to my face. And so the acceleration is there, the handling is absolutely there, and then there's just another refinement aspect that just brings the whole package together. And I absolutely, without a doubt, do not regret buying this car. I loved my C6. I cannot wait to get my C8 mid-engine Corvette. It's going to be a great car to have. I'm going to love having this and that car at the same time. But this car, it's not going anywhere for a while, and there's a lot of reasons, but the biggest being is the way it makes me feel. It's special, and there's nothing that can take away from its aspect of that. So one last quick pull before we kind of wrap this video up. I'm going to jump down. And to give you an example, like I said, it's hard to articulate through the video what the acceleration is like, but right now we're sitting at 3,800 RPM in third gear. We're doing about 45 miles an hour. I'm gonna jump one gear down, and we're gonna jump to 5,500 RPM at 45, and we're gonna all the way to red line. And that shift just happened from 45 up to 65, a 20 mile an hour in a matter of a second. That pull was incredibly hard, and I felt no grip loss. And then we have this turn that I'm going to try and take at a pretty good pace, and the grip is just there. There's no hesitation out of the car to want to hit that grip, and then we accelerate out. And as soon as I punch into it, leaving it in that higher RPM band, it's just effortless. And the car, as I take these windy turns, and that's one of the things I want to do with this car. I want to take it on a really cool road trip and find some really good roads that are windy. That's where this car will absolutely excel. So I'm very excited with buying this car. I hope you guys have kind of enjoyed the content. There's a ton of stuff that we're going to be doing this summer. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I appreciate all of your guys' support. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, drop them below. I'd love to hear what you guys think on the car, or if you just have any comments about it or questions, again, drop them below. You all take care. Thank you so much. We'll see you next video.